Hello, it's the Curious Slow back with another video, and today I'm going to be discussing Game of Thrones Season 6, Episode 4, Book of the Stranger. As always, I will sort of first be discussing scenes that I think maybe weren't super important or didn't bring a lot to the story this week, not to say that any of them are bad scenes or won't be important in the future, but I like to sort of go with what I think is the least important to this episode, or for me the least interesting, and then go through to kind of end up at the scenes that I find the most interesting and that I really want to lay into a lot. So, starting off, we have Theon reuniting with his sister. It was just a quick little scene. It's nice to see him back on the Iron Islands. I'm curious to see what's going to go on with them, because I feel like that plotline has been extremely, I don't know, just on the fringes a lot, and we don't really know a ton about their family, don't really know a ton about their house. They've sort of just been an accessory to what is happening with Winterfell, and an accessory to what is happening to like House Bolton and all these different things, and it'll be cool to sort of see Theon out on his own, out from under the Starks, out from under the Boltons, and kind of getting out on his own. But obviously this week it wasn't a ton. Looks like next week we might be getting a little bit more from them though. This week we also had a quick scene from Peter Baelish and Robin Arryn, who are two characters we have not yet seen this season. So it's kind of cool to catch back up with them. Obviously Robin is a bit of a little jerk and nobody really likes him, but I sort of hope that, dare I say, the good influence of Peter Baelish will start to make him a little bit better. I don't know. I feel like Robin has hope now that his mother is out of the picture, that we'll start to see him grow a little bit. And obviously Peter is very manipulative, so I'm not saying that it's going to be all good, but I can see how Robin would start to actually be worthy of his title, and Peter could sort of help him along the way. Peter's been a very weird, kind of ambiguous character. We haven't seen him at all this season yet, so we'll see what happens with them. It sounds like that's going to be another plot that we really see a lot of next episode as well, and it seems like Sansa and Jon are heading right to them. So we'll see next week what's going to go on with them, but I'm excited. Even with how many characters we've been seeing, there are still characters that we have not yet seen this season, these among them, so it's crazy that that keeps happening. Gosh, this show has so many characters. On to some of the more meaty plot lines, and I will say that while the last few weeks I have sort of been complaining, and I keep calling a lot of the episodes sort of clip showy, I think I used that term quite a few times for the last 3 weeks, I do not think that about this episode. I think they did a really good job of giving us multiple plot lines that felt like they were actually moving forward. And again, like I've been saying, I'm not saying that these other episodes were bad. I just think that when you're excited to see your favorite characters again, you want things to move on, and they kind of have to please everybody and touch on everyone, and now that we're sort of in the middle of the season, they can start to break things up a little bit. But starting off our sort of meatier scenes and plot lines, we have the stuff going on in King's Landing. So there's two sort of different interwoven plot lines going on in King's Landing. We have Marjorie and her brother, who are obviously still in prison with the High Sparrow, and man, he's a devious one. And the thing is that he's written so well that I'm sort of like, maybe I see where he's coming from, but at the same time, he's kind of slimy, and it's a weird feeling to be having, because I really don't like him, but at the same time, like, the king and all that, like, the Lannisters are not amazing, so it's like, who do you root for? I don't really like any of these people. I love Marjorie, though. I just don't want her in prison anymore. And the High Sparrow kind of says that he's going to let her see her brother, and so she goes to Loras, and she thinks that she was sent in there kind of to help break Loras, but I think the Sparrow's a lot smarter than that, and he knows that Loras is basically already broken. Marjorie is much stronger than Loras, and I think that Marjorie was sent in there to break Marjorie. Like, she was meant to see her brother and say, I need to confess to things that maybe I didn't even do, so that my brother can go free. And that's kind of a scary thought, because I think Marjorie, while an extremely strong character, loves her family, and she will do anything to help them. And I think one of those things would definitely be to sacrifice herself or her honor for her brother. Luckily, when considering the Lannisters, luckily we have the Lannisters, who appear to be sort of orchestrating a plan with Lady Tyrell, and that'll be interesting to see kind of what goes on with them, and I think they're probably going to overthrow the High Sparrow. I've sort of talked about this in a couple other episodes. It really seems like there's going to be a little bit of a mini struggle / war in King's Landing, which keeps them from wreaking too much havoc in the rest of the world. But, you know, the Northerners are doing that enough for themselves, so we don't need King's Landing getting involved in it. But yeah, we have Lady Tyrell and Kevin Lannister and Jaime and Cersei all sort of orchestrating a little plan to maybe spring the Tyrell children out to hopefully get them back with their families and not having their hair cut off and not being made to march through the street having shame yelled at them over and over again. I would appreciate that not happening again, because as much as it was interesting, it was also very awkward, and I do not want to see that happen to any other characters again. Heck, I wouldn't want to see that happen to Cersei again, and I do not like her that much, so again, this plot seems like it's just sort of bubbling up a little bit more every week, and eventually it's going to explode. It seems like it is the closest plot line to exploding. We had a little bit of exploding, or fire at least, a little bit later on in this discussion, but we'll get to that. Speaking of fire and explosion, over in Essos, we have Dany, who has been taken. She's been captured by the Dothraki. Of course, she's with all of the past Widows of the Call. And she sort of starts to make some friends among them, and I really like that about Dany. I feel like she has a lot of compassion and can immediately kind of assimilate to whatever culture she's in, even if she can be a little headstrong and a little stubborn. That sometimes gets her into trouble. Her heart seems to always be in the right place, and dang, girl just like set fire to the patriarchy. I mean, like, literally. That scene was awesome. Her little speech that she gave, and she just sticks her hand on the fire thing and just knocks it over, and all those Khal were like screaming, and it was beautiful. What is it about death and destruction that I just love so much sometimes? I don't know. This was a great scene. I loved it. I'm really happy that Dany is free of them. I'm excited to see her go back to Meereen, where obviously we have some of my favorite characters. Again, I love Tyrion. I'm happy to see more of him this episode. I really love the dynamic between him, Varys, Grey Worm, and Missandei, and I think that it's sort of the two sassy men against these sort of younger, like, they don't take any of that ish, you know what I mean? Like, they aren't taking any of the sass that is coming out of these two older men, and yes, they may be better, like, politicians, but these other two, they know what it's like to be a slave, and I like that. I don't know, I just love the dynamic between the four of them. I hope that that group doesn't necessarily get split up now that Dany's back in the picture. She could add another great dynamic to that foursome, but I like the four of them and kind of where that's going, and I'd like to see that continue as the weeks go on. I don't really have anything to say about this, but Naked Dany, and I know lots of people love that, because lots of people love that, and how many people watch Game of Thrones just for, like, the sex and nudity? I know there are some of you out there. I know you're there, and there was Naked Dany this week, so there you go. You're welcome. Last little plot line here. We have everything going on in the north, and again, it is no secret that I love Jon Snow, and I have been waiting for all of the Starks to reunite, and obviously this is not all of the Starks, but this is two of the Starks, and we have Jon Snow and Sansa reuniting. That hug gave me goosebumps. It was brilliantly acted, brilliantly written, so simple, but just like that moment where they just kind of looked at each other and then went in for the hug, and I was like, oh, look at these siblings reuniting, and I just want them all to be okay and be together and nobody else to die or be hurt or raped. Gosh, this family has been through so much, and I just want them all to be okay, okay? That's not so much to ask. I mean, maybe in Game of Thrones it is, but I just want them all to be okay. All right, my little breakdown about that reunion aside, we had other things going on in the north. Obviously, Osha and Rickon were brought before Ramsay last episode, and Osha, being just the BA that she is, she tried to take out Ramsay and met her sad demise. I mean, she's a side character. She's never been at the forefront, really, but I still really liked her, and I was excited to have her back, and she was taken away from us so quickly. But I think she kind of got a good ending for her character. Again, she wasn't a main character. She wasn't going to get this huge send-off, but I like that she kind of went out trying still to defend Rickon, even after everything that she's been through and presumably the fact that they've been on the run forever. So that was kind of a cool scene, even though it was just a little quick one and sort of the end of a character that we've had for quite a few seasons. Back with Jon and Sansa, we have an amazing dinner sequence that involved Brienne. Just beautiful face acting from Brienne. Just all of the face acting as Tormund is eating that bread, chicken, I don't know, but the face expressions that were coming out of that woman were beautiful. I love her. So that was great. And then right after that, we got into some serious business with that letter from Ramsay, which was, intense. Ramsay is the original internet troll, just being like, here are all the things I'm gonna do, and also, you're a child, and I'm gonna rape your sister, and the fact that Sansa was able to take that letter, and I think she knew why Jon stopped reading it. He didn't want to have to read that to his, rape survivor sister about how this guy was going to rape her rapist. And it's just really brilliantly written that we were able to show Sansa as somebody strong despite what she's been through. And she took that letter and she continued reading that. She did not flinch at that line. She read all the way to the end. And I think it was a great moment to show Jon how much Sansa has grown. Even if she can tell him what she's been through, showing that she is not that scared little girl that she was anymore. And I love that moment where she was like, we will go. I love everything that happened between Jon and Sansa, and I love that they aren't just going to immediately tear them apart again, because we've had some close calls with Starks reuniting before, and it's always such a tease that they are really close to getting to, and then somebody goes this way or somebody goes that way, or somebody decides not to go with Brienne, even though everybody should go with Brienne because she's the best. Anyway, Sansa and Jon, it seems like, are going to be sticking together, which I love. I really want some people to get back together, and it seems like we are going that direction. Looking forward in Game of Thrones, we have some interesting things that were maybe omitted from this week. Again, we have seen nothing from Dorne, and I know that this is not everybody's favorite plotline in the world, but we have seen a single sequence from it this season, and it was in the premiere. And I would love to know what is happening with this coup. Literally a coup. They killed everyone that is important, and now the Sands, are they ruling? Who knows? I don't know. I would love to know more, and I still didn't see anything in the preview for next week, so it's all very, I don't want to say interesting, frustrating might be the word, that I still haven't seen anything from them. So I just keep thinking about it every week, and I really want to see some more Dorne, even if it's just a little scene, just to show that somebody cares that they just killed, the effective, line of succession in, one fell swoop. We did not see any Bran this week, but it does look like we will be seeing some of him next week, and that his plot finally has some legs, puns, and that he will actually be going out on the move. No Arya either, but again, it does look like we are going to be getting some of her next week. And I think probably the most important thing that we saw in the preview for next week is that there is another Red Priestess who is wearing a very recognizable necklace that we now know what it does. That is crazy. I think that brings in a whole nother element that we haven't seen in this show, because obviously we've had our one Red Priestess, and that's who we've been dealing with. It'll be interesting to see where she differs, where the two of them differ from each other, because they're in two very different parts of the world. It looks like the new one is going to be helping Dany and co, maybe. So that'll be pretty cool to see. And I cannot wait for next week, because this was just a great episode. Oh, it was such a good episode. I love this show, and this is definitely the best episode so far this season, and that is with episodes that included Jon coming back to life and hanging all the traitors. So I love this. I love Starks getting back together. Rickon, it seems like, hopefully, if they don't kill a child, please, dear all of the gods that are in this show, don't kill Rickon. Just don't. Please don't. So hopefully we will be getting them all back together pretty soon. Bran, it looks like, is going to be on the move, like I said, and then all we need is little Arya to come away from her little corner of the world once she has become no one, and hopefully save her family and maybe get to be Arya again, or maybe she'll just be no one forever. Who knows? Alright guys, let me know what you thought of this, in my opinion, amazing episode down below. Did you hate it? Did you love it? Are you excited to see the Starks back together? What do you think about the High Sparrow and everything that's going down in King's Landing? Let me know below, and I will see you guys next week for more Game of Thrones. Bye!